He's blocked off part of the parking lot on Meadowbrook until they could clear the scene. We're told the Piggly Wiggly is still open for business. Another possible election problem tonight. Deputies are investigating how a Tea Party leader locked herself inside a building with uncounted ballots overnight. 16 WABT's Jennifer Ortega reports it happened in the middle of this massive election, just too close to call. Jennifer, what do we know?
Well, this is a door she used to get inside. Now, you usually need a security badge to get in, but poll workers say the door was cracked open. Now, they say that Janice Lane, known as the current Tea Party president, and two of her friends, Rob Chambers and Scott Brewster, who were also connected with the Tea Party, were the people that got in. Lane was working the election polls earlier Tuesday and came back to help finish counting ballots later that night. She got locked in trying to get into the building at 12:30 when everyone was gone. Poll workers tell us all the ballots were locked up overnight, and they don't think any ballots were compromised. However, chairman of Hinds County Republican Party, Pete Perry, says he was shocked to get a call from Lane at 2 a.m.
She called me as I was getting out of my car and said that she was in the courthouse and locked in and couldn't get out. And I was like, it took me a minute or two for that to register and figure out exactly what she meant.
Election commissioners and their crew, the folk who are responsible for counting the ballots, actually locked the building down at about 11:30, and they left the building. So I can tell you that they only had access to the common area, so they never were able to touch any ballots based on the information that we have right now.
And you heard there, the Hinds County Sheriff's Department says it's still under investigation. If there are any charges, it would be trespassing. Live at the Hinds County Courthouse, Jennifer Ortega, 16 WABT News.
Okay, Jennifer, thank you. That white-hot GOP Senate race is set for one more round tonight. Neither candidate has 50% plus one, so they're facing a runoff in 3 weeks on June 24th. State Senator Chris McDaniel has 49.5%. Incumbent Senator Thad Cochran has 49.0% of the vote. Cochran hit the streets today.
I think we're going to work as hard as we can to win the election. If it means a runoff, it means a runoff. We'll compete. We're just getting around and meeting the voters and asking for their support in this election. It's a very important election. It's important to our state and to our national United States Senate lawmakers, too.
Thad Cochran was out campaigning at the Chick-fil-A today in Flowood. Meantime, McDaniel's campaign tells us they are busy all day with national media appearances. This is what he told supporters just last night.
One way or the other, I promise you this, whether it's tomorrow or whether it's 3 weeks from tonight, we will stand victorious in this race.
Well, 16 WABT's Andrew Kinsey went to find out how problems at the polls may have slowed down the election results.
We were hopeful that one side or another would win yesterday, of course, and have a finality to this.
A day after the most watched U.S. Senate race in the country, we can now expect another face-off between Senator Thad Cochran and Chris McDaniel.
Apparently, at least from the initial numbers that we've got, we'll end up facing a runoff.
Secretary of State Delbert Hosemann says the race was so tight, affidavit ballots were a major factor, and problems at the polls delayed workers from reporting results. Poll workers in Rankin County say they had machine problems.
We had some technical issues that varied in reason, and we were a little late getting all of our totals done.
County election leaders say they stayed through the night to make sure every ballot was counted and results reported. In Hinds County, several human errors left problems counting votes there.
We had 2 precincts that pulled the media stick out before they closed the machine. And one of the precinct fire station, which the doors are open, the humidity from yesterday did not allow the machines to accept the ballots.
Another factor this week, low voter turnout statewide.
At the end of the day, we had about 400,000 out of 1.8 million.
Poll workers reported 29% in Rankin County and only 20% in Hinds County. Tonight, leaders say there's enough data to know we'll see a runoff in the GOP Senate race. In Hinds County, Andrew Kinsey, 16 WAPT News.
And the Senate race set a Mississippi record for campaign spending, $12.5 million campaign dollars between Cochran and McDaniel. Even more will pour in over the next 3 weeks leading up to the runoff. 16 WABT's Mike Perchik spoke with political analysts and breaks down the state of the race.
While all of Mississippi and much of the country focused on the race between U.S. Senator Thad Cochran and State Senator Chris McDaniel, it was the unknown Thomas Carey who stole the show.
Yes, I don't think anybody really even knew he was on the ballot, to be honest.
Fewer than 5,000 people voted for Carey, but it was still enough to force a runoff.
He had a bigger influence, I think, than a lot of us would have expected.
Sometimes you'll get some votes that are just cast because they don't like the negativity of the other two guys, and I suspect that's what happened with this guy.
But I think also it probably was more of a protest vote. There's, I think, some feeling in the state it's been an ugly campaign, and that if people had their choice, maybe they would want none of the above.
But instead of answering the question of who will represent the party in the November election,
the primary only provided more questions. Still, analysts differ on who would be the preferred matchup for Travis Childers, who handily won the Democratic primary.
Without doubt, McDaniel would be an easier opponent for a Democrat, for Childers. Without any doubt. He's much more of an extreme candidate. Cochran appeals to a broader base of people, including some folks who might be inclined otherwise to vote for Childers.
Well, if I'm Childers, I think I want the guy without the energy. I think I want the guy that didn't want to run in the first place. I think I want the guy that doesn't want to debate. I want the guy that, frankly, doesn't want to do news media. I want the guy who, on all things being equal, doesn't look like he wants to be senator anymore.
In Jackson, Mike Perchik, 16 WAPT News.
Well, this too close to call election is also the hottest topic with people we talk to on the streets.
I think for 3 weeks, I think we may see a change, and I would think the strategy of both camps as to how they will approach in 3 weeks and to get their message out and to get the voters back out, I think will be a challenge.
I will be the first one in line when if they do a runoff on the 24th.
Folks all over the country are watching the McDaniel-Cochran race. CNN highlighted it as their top story this morning.
The big question you might ask is why? Why did a 36-year Senate veteran not beat back a challenger from within his own party when there was so much intensity here by the National Party?
And that is CNN's Dana Bash. Don't forget to stay with WAPT and WAPT.com for all of your Commitment 2014 coverage. You can see our results map, which breaks down the voter returns by county. You can also see our